I never thought I'd be one of those wives. You know, the kind who snoops through their husband's phone or checks his collar for lipstick stains. I trusted Calvin. I really did. We had been married for 5 years, and they were, for the most part, happy years. We had our home, our routines, our shared jokes. Life was comfortable, predictable. And then it wasn't. It started subtly. A late night at the office here, a last-minute business trip there. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Calvin was a hard worker, always had been. He was climbing the corporate ladder, and I was proud of him. But the late nights became more frequent, the trips longer. He started guarding his phone like it held state secrets. When I'd walk into the room, he'd quickly close his laptop or end a hushed phone call. He'd smile, but it wouldn't reach his eyes. The man I married, the one whose every expression I knew, was becoming a stranger. The distance between us grew into a chasm. Our conversations became superficial, just updates on our days without any real connection. The laughter that used to fill our home was replaced by a tense silence. I tried talking to him, asking if something was wrong at work, if he was stressed. He'd always brush it off. "Everything's fine, Amaya," he'd say. "Just busy." But I knew it wasn't just work. There was a coldness in his touch, an emotional wall he'd built that I couldn't seem to break through. My friends told me I was being paranoid. "Men get stressed," they say. "Give him some space." But my gut told me otherwise. It was an annoying feeling, a knot of anxiety that tightened every time he said he was working late. I started losing sleep, replaying our conversations, searching for clues I might have missed. I felt like I was going crazy, caught between trusting the man I loved and trusting my own intuition. The doubt was eating me alive. I needed to know the truth, no matter how much it might hurt. I couldn't live in this limbo of suspicion and uncertainty anymore. So, I made a decision that would change everything. I decided to follow him. The night I decided to do it, my heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Calvin got a text around 8 p.m. He glanced at his phone, a quick, almost imperceptible smile touching his lips before he erased it. "Hey, hon," he said, not looking at me. "Got an urgent client meeting. Have to run out. Not sure when I'll be back." It was the same excuse he'd used a dozen times before. But this time, I wasn't just going to accept it. I waited about 10 minutes after he left, my hands trembling as I grabbed my car keys. This was it. There was no turning back. I took a deep breath and walked out the door, my stomach twisting with a mixture of fear and a desperate need for answers. I kept a safe distance, my headlights off as I followed his familiar taillights through the city. My mind was racing. What if he was just going to his office? I'd feel like a fool, an insane, jealous wife. But he didn't take the turn towards his downtown office building. Instead, he headed towards a quieter, more residential part of town, an area filled with trendy bars and upscale apartments. He pulled into the parking garage of a sleek modern condo building. I parked across the street, my heart sinking with every floor his car ascended. This wasn't a client meeting. I watched him get out of his car and walk towards the lobby entrance. A few moments later, a woman came out to meet him. She was tall, stylish, and she greeted him with a kiss. Not a friendly peck on that cheek, but a deep, lingering kiss that spoke of intimacy and familiarity. In that single moment, my world shattered. The air left my lungs, and all the little doubts, the late nights, the secret phone calls, they all crashed together into one devastating reality. It was true. My husband, my Calvin, was cheating on me. I sat there, frozen, just watching them disappear into the building together, his arm wrapped possessively around her waist. A part of me wanted to storm in there, to confront them, to scream and cry and demand to know why. But another part of me, the part that was completely broken, just wanted to disappear. The drive home was a blur. Tears streamed down my face, blurring the city lights into streaks of painful color. Every memory we'd ever made felt tainted. Every "I love you" he'd ever said felt like a lie. When Calvin finally came home around 2 a.m., he tried to sneak into bed quietly. I was wide awake, staring at the ceiling. How was the client meeting? I asked, my voice cold and hollow, completely devoid of emotion. He froze. It was fine, he mumbled. Long night. I bet it was, I said, sitting up and turning on the lamp. The light flooded the room, and he flinched, finally looking at me. He saw the look on my face, the tear tracks, the utter devastation in my eyes, and he knew that I knew. There was no shouting, no screaming. I was too numb for that. I just told him what I saw. I described the building, the woman, the kiss. The color drained from his face. For the first time in months, he had no excuses, no lies left to hide behind. He confessed everything. Her name was Chloe. They'd been seeing each other for 6 months. It started at work, he said, the classic cliché. He told me he was confused, that he didn't mean for it to happen. But his words were empty, meaningless noise against the roar of my heartbreak. I asked him to leave that night. I couldn't stand to look at him, to be in the same room with the person who had so carelessly shattered my trust and our life together. The days that followed were a painful haze. I felt a grief so profound it was physical, an ache in my chest that never went away. Some days I was angry, furious at his betrayal. Other days, I was just incredibly sad, mourning the future I thought we had. But slowly, very slowly, through the support of my true friends and family, I started to heal. I realized that his choices were a reflection of him, not of me. My worth wasn't tied to his fidelity. I started rediscovering myself, Amaya, not just Calvin's wife. I picked up old hobbies, made new friends, and began to build a new life for myself, one based on my own happiness and my own terms. It's been a year now. The divorce is final. I still have moments of sadness, but they are fleeting. I've learned that you can survive the unimaginable. You can rebuild from the wreckage and find a strength you never knew you had. Following him that night was the most painful thing I've ever done, but it was also the most liberating. It forced me to face a devastating truth, but it also freed me from a life built on lies. It was the end of my marriage, but it was also the beginning of me. Thank you for listening to my story. If you're going through something similar, please know you are not alone and there is light on the other side. Please like this video and subscribe for more stories. You are stronger than you think.